The Tunnel to Towers Foundation honors the sacrifices of America's heroes. Heroes like U.S. Army Specialist Andy Keith Kingsley. Andy was part of the 82nd Airborne Division. He received various awards and decorations, including a Purple Heart. While deployed, Andy was catastrophically injured in combat. Andy and his family received a mortgage-free smart home from Tunnel to Towers. But many more heroes, like Andy, need your support. Donate $11 a month and amplify your impact by donating your car or land. Go to T2T.org.
He's at war with woke.
Joe Concha
thinks liberals are a joke.
Joe Concha.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome, everybody, on this Monday night. Breaking news. The maybe or maybe not alive new Ayatollah / Supreme Leader is gay? The Gayatollah? How is this possible? Well, this is according to the New York Post. Quoting the story, President Trump was stunned to learn last week that U.S. intelligence indicates new Iranian Supreme Leader, Mujtaba Khomeini, may be gay, and that his father, the late Ayatollah Ali Khomeini, feared his suitability to rule the Islamic Republic for that reason. You think? The Post can reveal. Trump couldn't contain his surprise and laughed aloud when he was briefed on the intel, according to sources. Others in the room also found it, quote, hilarious, unquote, and joined the president's reaction, while one senior intelligence official has not stopped laughing about it for days. I got my money on Stephen Miller on this one, but that's just me. Said one person familiar with the briefing. The shocking claim was described to the Post by two intelligence community officials and a third person close to the White House. Now, what we do know is that Mujtaba Khomeini is seen like the Fredo of the Khomeini clan, okay? Like the guy that you don't want taking over the family business. Michael, yes. Sonny, hot-headed, okay. Not a bad second choice. Fredo, no good. This is Fredo, except in the movie The Godfather, you remember Michael confronts Mo Green and says, you know, why are you slapping around my brother? And then Mo Green replies, because he was banging half the waitress staff. I'm being polite with that paraphrasing on that one, but this is a PG-13 show. The point is that ain't going on with this Fredo. I mean, maybe the waiters at the Supreme Leader compound that is now destroyed, but yeah, that's a problem. You can't be throwing gay people off of buildings in Iran, hanging them, torturing them, and then have your leader, be part of the club. Oh, man. Can you imagine like a summit between President Pete Buttigieg and the new Ayatollah? I mean, boy, talk about fireworks. All right, enough of that. I mean, I'd be laughing for a week also if I've heard that for the first time. That is irony times 10. Meanwhile, boy, the Oscars last night, and I know maybe you've heard the clips already, but now you're going to get my take on the clips. See, that's the trick, right? You want the conch perspective. And it was an absolute hot mess of a train wreck again. Like, you think to get it by now that you are losing so many viewers because people will be predisposed not to tune in. This isn't hard. Just give me an award show and celebrate the movies that no one saw outside of F1. I mean, everything that was nominated, haven't seen, won't see. F1 was great. I think F1, just to go off on this tangent for a moment, Top Gun Maverick was one of the best sequels I've ever seen, which some sequels come out most usually within a year, 2, 3 years of your average film. Empire Strikes Back, great sequel, came out 3 years after Star Wars, the original real ones with Harrison Ford. Godfather 2, I believe, came out 2 years after Godfather 1, one of the great sequels of all time. Dark Knight came out 3 years after Batman Begins. Top Gun Maverick came out, let's see. Top Gun came out in 86, and Top Gun Maverick came out in, 23, 24? We're talking nearly 40 years later, and Tom Cruise looks younger in the sequel. Trust me, I got to find his skin guy, his filler guy, whatever guy he has for hair also. Please send along his number. But F1 was basically Top Gun Maverick, right? It's the old guy coming back to show the young guys how it's done. I mean, Brad Pitt's, I think, incredible in it. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Is it a best picture? I would say no, except the competition here. I mean, again, all these movies, when you look at the ratings in terms of audience, Rotten Tomatoes, not good. Didn't make a lot of money for a reason. No one went to see them. But the Oscars still take themselves very, very seriously. And we had Conan O'Brien last night. And Conan is at least, how do I put this? He's the skinniest guy at fat camp. In other words, he's a slight improvement over Colbert and Kimmel, who always seem to do these shows. But they still wheeled out Kimmel anyway, because I guess it's on ABC, and they want to give their guy who's in a distant third in the late night ratings, gets doubled and tripled by Greg Gutfeld on Fox. They had to give him a platform. And of course, he makes it about himself, makes himself the victim, and talks about things that don't exist, including here. Here is the multi-millionaire in a tuxedo on national television talking about how we're losing our right to free speech. Yeah, cut number 6, go.
As you know, there are some countries whose leaders don't support free speech. I'm not at liberty to say which. Let's just leave it at North Korea and CBS. Fortunately,
and they all hoot and holler.
Fortunately for all of us, there is an international community of filmmakers dedicated to telling the truth.
All right, I felt enough. I can't take it. No more. I mean, I just threw up on my mouth a little bit. Like, oh yeah, I'm losing my right to free speech as I'm on stage on national television talking about it, as I do every night on my ridiculous late night show that friends and relatives only watch at this point. And they re-signed him to a contract. That's what floors me. Colbert, at least CBS is getting rid of. Thank God. Now, why they didn't get rid of him right away? Now he's on this retribution tour against everybody. And for the next 2 months, we'll be talking about insufferable to watch Colbert as he moves over to the podcast from your kitchen world. But anyway, here's Kimmel then mocking the First Lady and Melania Trump. Just one little problem with this, scare quotes, humor. Cut number 7, go.
oh man, is he going to be mad his wife wasn't nominated for this.
Oh, yeah. So that was the Best Documentary Award. One problem, moron. The Melania documentary came out after it could be considered for this year's Oscars. Funny. Yeah. He once attacked Melania Trump, who I met in person. You think she's stunning on TV. Try New Year's Eve in a Versace dress sometime. I mean, just and classy and just so nice and everything. I mean, I never liked attacking any first lady. I don't like when people attack Michelle Obama, for example, and compare her to a man or something like that. They call him Mike. Like, leave the first ladies out of this, please. All right. And it especially goes for Melania Trump, who has been treated the worst 15 times over of any other first lady, Republican or Democrat. And I saw her movie and I found it to be quite compelling because this is a very private person and you learned a lot about her that you didn't know before. And when you could walk away from something like that, especially documentaries, it did its job. But for Kimmel to like continually mock Melania Trump, once mocked her accent. I thought Jimmy was all for immigration, you know, even illegal immigration, any immigration, doesn't matter. Well, she's literally an immigrant. And Trump apparently is anti-immigration, except he married an immigrant to this country, and then mocked her accent. Oh, she speaks 5 languages fluently. Jimmy barely speaks 1 language. And this guy, again, to go after Trump, all right, that's his thing. To go after Trump's wife, you're such a coward and a pussycat. Oh, all right. Anyway, let's go to one more, shall we? And this is more. Then Kimmel, of course, afterwards, has to do like a post-awards press conference. And this is what he had to say about the country that we live in right now. And again, just leave. If you don't like it here, I swear, you could do your show from anywhere. Just leave, like Rosie O'Donnell did. Go to Ireland. You will not be missed. Jimmy Kimmel, cut number 17, go.
Are you exhausted?
Am I exhausted?
By the state of the world. And knowing every night you've got to say something.
You see me looking in my face and you're exhausted.
No, but I mean...
Yes, I'm exhausted. Of course, it's ridiculous. We live in a ridiculous country. We always lived in a ridiculous country, but it was always ridiculous in a fun Mr. T kind of way.
Right.
Now we've got a different Mr. T. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. T. Wow, I didn't think of it.
All right,
Mr.
Phil.
T.
Well, you know what? That's
fine. Yeah, that can't go on. Look, with Kimmel, as far as like, oh, we live in a ridiculous country. Yeah, the kind that allows you to wear blackface on national television and mock an NBA legend like Karl Malone, because that's what Jimmy Kimmel did back in the Man Show. We always hear about blackface and how racist it is. Kimmel literally did it. That's all you need to know about him. Anyway, speaking of the aforementioned Conan O'Brien, he decides, hey, I think I'll take a shot at Turning Point USA. You know, the incredible grassroots movement that Charlie Kirk at 18 years old founded. And Charlie obviously executed at Utah Valley University September 10th of last year. So yeah, let's mock that. That's the way to capture the half of the country that loathes these particular award shows now. Anyway, here's Conan. Go, 18.
I should warn you, tonight could get political, okay? And if that makes you uncomfortable, there's an alternate Oscars being hosted by Kid Rock. Yeah. It's at the Dave & Buster's down the street. A lot of tickets for that.
Got him. All I know is that the Turning Point USA alternate Super Bowl show drew 6 million viewers. 6 million, right? It took a nice chunk out of the halftime show for the Super Bowl that lost more viewers than it ever has in its history. Think about that for a second. Yeah, so let's mock that. Mock what Charlie started. Again, the ratings were horrible, as they always are. They keep getting worse. Let's put it this way. 18 million people tuned in to the Oscars on ABC. You say 18 million. Wow, Joe, that's a good number. Compare that to, however, let's say 1997. 58 million people tuned in. Not very good at math, but I'm pretty sure that that's 40 million people more. And don't tell me about cord cutting and all that nonsense. All right? It's still 40 million people that used to watch in this country don't watch anymore. Why is that, I wonder? A, we used to nominate films that actually people saw. When we had a year where it was Forrest Gump, Shawshank Redemption, and Pulp Fiction. All right? Not a lot of people saw Shawshank, which, again, as you people know, if you listen to me on this show on a nightly basis, best movie of all time. It's not even like an opinion. It's a fact. All right. Best acting you'll ever see. Best screenplay. Best everything. All right. And boy, what a twist when that poster of Ava Gardner comes off the wall. That I do know. Was it Ava Gardner? I forget. Anyway, the point is, no, Ava was on there. I'm trying to remember because he kept changing the poster to mark the time. He was in there for 18 years. Andy Dufresne, played by Tim Robbins. I have to remember Raquel Welch. That's right. Raquel Welch was the poster that revealed The Escape. I'm sorry if I just ruined that movie for you, but you'll see what I mean. Everybody's seen it by now, I would think. But yeah, that's 94, for example. Or, you know, the year I mentioned, Titanic grossed $1 billion in 1990s money. I mean, people saw that movie multiple times. I thought it was good. I'm not going to say it was a great movie. Really bothers me, once again, if I could just share my thoughts on Titanic. Yeah. So when Kate Winslet's character dies, she goes to heaven to find the guy she hooked up with and knew for about 24 hours, as opposed to her husband she had kids with. See, when I go to eternity, I'm not going to meet the girl that I met in spring break in Cancun in 93, which, now that I think about it, March 16th, I think this literally is to the day. Her name was Muffy. I mean, I actually met a Muffy. I always thought that was a movie thing. I mean, that wasn't her name, but it was her nickname. Oh, man. Anyway, the point is, I'm not going to go find her in the afterlife. I'm pretty sure I'll find my actual wife that I've been married to for 15, 16 years and had kids with. And that's what bothered me about Titanic. That's who you go find? And you throw that diamond off the back of the boat before you die instead of giving it to your grandkids so they can be comfortable for the rest of their lives? All right, I'm gone off on a tangent once again. The point is that when 58 million people watch, and then you go fast forward to 2026 and only 18 million people are watching, boy, that tells you that just stop being political, for the love of God. And they can't resist. And if you're going to be political, at least hit both sides. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of material to hit on the other side, as I do on the show every night. Anyway, let's do one more clip, shall we, before we go to break. And this is an actress I've never heard of before, but they put a microphone in her face. Her name is Charitha Charlton, and she is absolutely demanding that we have a ceasefire in Gaza right now, or else there's going to be hell to pay. This is cut number 9. Go.
It's an Artist for Ceasefire pen, and what we are demanding is a ceasefire in Gaza. And I think that I am so blessed to have a platform, and this is the least I can do to use it. And like sometimes the news cycle is so fast and people move on, but the people in Gaza and the West Bank are still suffering. Yeah. So yeah, it's just bringing attention to that.
Do stupid people get to a point in life where they realize they're stupid? It's a rhetorical question, I guess, because there's been a ceasefire in Gaza for at least 7 months. You're calling for a ceasefire to what? There's been a ceasefire, you moron! I'm so glad I have a platform. Oh, I'm not. Everyone is now dumber for having listened to that. No question. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. Back with so much more in just a moment.
Where liberalism is a no-go. The Joe Concha Show, weekday edition. Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation honors the sacrifices of America's heroes. Heroes like U.S. Army Specialist Andy Keith Kingsley. Andy was part of the 82nd Airborne Division. He received various awards and decorations, including a Purple Heart. While deployed, Andy was catastrophically injured in combat. Andy and his family received a mortgage-free smart home from Tunnel to Towers. But many more heroes, like Andy, need your support. Donate $11 a month and amplify your impact by donating your car or land. Go to T2T.org. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation honors the sacrifices of America's heroes. Heroes like U.S. Army Specialist Andy Keith Kingsley. Andy was part of the 82nd Airborne Division. He received various awards and decorations, including a Purple Heart. While deployed, Andy was catastrophically injured in combat. Andy and his family received a mortgage-free smart home from Tunnel to Towers. But many more heroes, like Andy, need your support. Donate $11 a month and amplify your impact by donating your car or land. Go to T2T.org.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition. Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right, everybody. So on this show, if you've been listening for, I guess we've been on for a couple months now, we like to do little flashbacks. And in this case, I keep finding these great speeches from Ronald Reagan. I actually got to go out to the Reagan Library in Simi Valley to do a speech, which was awesome. I went on the Air Force one, the old one. And that was just kind of cool to see and to do a speech there. You know, I felt like, wow, I guess I'm kind of not C-list celebrity anymore. More like a B-, just to be able to speak there. You're A, let's face it, if you could get to speak at the Reagan Library. Anyway, here is the, let's see, I guess he was the, let me think about this, 40th president? Let's see. Bush, 41. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so that's right. So he was the 40th president, and here he is on atheists and his thoughts on atheists. Really, cut number 4, go.
I have long been unable to understand the atheist in this world of so much beauty. And I've had an unholy desire to invite some atheists to a dinner and then serve the most fabulous gourmet dinner that has ever been concocted. And after dinner, ask them if they believe there was a cook.
The man has a point. He's got a great point. Yeah, there is a God. And even if you don't believe there's a God, you probably should say it out loud anyway. Just hedge your bets in case when you get to the pearly gates. Yeah, atheists. I'll never understand that. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. Back with so much more in just a moment. Boom, boom, boom.
This episode is brought to you by Cologuard. Do you know what's really scary? Not screening for colon cancer when you turn 45. The Cologuard test is non-invasive, requires no special prep or time off work, and ships right to your door. In just 3 simple steps, Cologuard takes the scare out of colon cancer screening. If you're 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about the Cologuard test. Cologuard is available by prescription only. Learn more or request a prescription today at Cologuard.com/screen.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated weed whacker guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
It's the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right, 4 words. Jim Comey is insane. This guy, look, and plenty of insane people in this world. If he works at like the local diner as a busboy, fine. All right. When you're the former FBI director, and when you were FBI director and you did the things that I'm about to play in this clip, there is something very, very wrong with you. And all I know is this guy spelled out 8647 on a beach, claimed he stumbled upon 8647 written in seashells on a beach and took a picture of it. Yeah, you stumbled upon. No, you didn't. You did it yourself, you freak. You're in your 60s. 86. Let's see. As a former number 86 at Wayne Valley High School, state champs. Thank you. 86 also means, besides the number, I guess, is to axe someone, to get rid of someone. 47 is the 47th president. So, no, Jim Comey wasn't a person who was walking along the beach, stumbled upon these seashells that happened to spell out something that he really, really wants. And we knew exactly what he was implying about Donald Trump, a guy who was nearly assassinated twice. Anyway, here he is talking about in 2018 how he used to, speaking of beaches, something about Beyonce and sandcastles, and it's just weird stuff. And again, this guy was the FBI director of the United States. Cut number 5, go.
As FBI director, I would get briefed all the time on serious stuff, including operations or cases that always seemed to have these strange code names that nobody could explain the origin of, at least not to the director. And so the names became a little bit of an obsession of mine. One morning I was sitting at the head of a big table in a crowded room to get briefed on a particular piece of work. The briefer started by saying the operation was codenamed Sandcastles. Now this was 2016, and you may know that Beyonce's album Lemonade had come out then with a track called Sandcastles. So I said, oh, like the Beyonce song. Blank stares all around the FBI conference room. So I did the natural thing, I think. I sang, we built sandcastles.
Oh, no. No.
Washed away.
No.
Nope. Nothing. Dead silence. Never mind, I said, continue. Only when I got home and told my family the story did I get the reaction I was looking for. When I write, I listen to classical or jazz because in ways I can't explain, the music unlocks something. It frees me.
Oh, God. No. Really? The Federal Bureau of Investigations was run by that guy? I sang Beyonce, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy, because you are crazy! Oh, Allendale, New Jersey, by the way. Why do I have to have the initials JC? You know? Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'll take that. JC. James Comey. Not so good. All right, let's please move on, Joe, because my hair hurts from actually having to listen to that. Gavin Newsom, who is equally, I think, forget crazy, I'm going to go pathological. The lies he will tell, and he does it, I guess, in front of like safe audiences here. He's still on this never-ending book tour. And he actually makes the argument here with a straight face and gets applause from the audience, showing you how stupid some people are in this country, that actually Texas and Florida are higher tax states than California. Wait, 2 of those 3 states don't have income taxes on the state level. Well, California is the highest, but he still says this. And when he runs for president, he's going to do this over and over. And the question is, it's not really a question, again, it's rhetorical. Will the media actually fact check him on this? Probably not. But anyway, here's your maybe future Democratic nominee. I don't think so, but many people do. Cut number 11, go.
Poor folks, more than we tax our richest. The question for you is, who's the higher tax state? California or Texas? Who are you for?
California.
Are you just for the 1%? Or are you for the 99? And so our whole approach, that's what a progressive tax. Florida is the other regressive tax state. Your middle class pay more taxes in Texas than our middle class in California. It's a great mythology. It's just the richest of the rich come here because they can avoid paying a damn penny.
All right. Again, fact check. More people have left California than any other state in the country, despite having beautiful climate and a really awesome coastline. In San Diego, Malibu, Riverside, you go all the way up and down that beautiful state. Absolutely. And this guy is saying that, wow, Texas and Florida have higher taxes. Do you know why so many athletes go to those states? Because when you're making millions upon millions of dollars per year, per month in some cases, the state isn't taking those dollars away because there's no income tax. Why do you think so many businesses are going to Florida and Texas, Tennessee? Because there's no income tax. And Gavin Newsom is trying to say that California is more affordable than those two states. Moron. Little fact that Ron DeSantis brought up in his debate against Newsom, and it was perfectly timed. Newsom's own relatives have left California for Florida. Newsom's own father-in-law did it. And this guy has I guess, he's a shapeshifter. He's a lizard man. He could say these things and then get applause for it. So he's like, yeah, I think I may be onto something here. You can't make it up. Oh, let's move on to other morons, shall we? I guess it's Moron Monday. We should really coin that as an actual phrase on here. And we're going to go with Don Lemon. Of course, this guy who managed to get fired from CNN. Again, I always use this analogy, or at least comparison. Jeffrey Toobin, he literally pleasured himself on a work Zoom call in front of female employees and still didn't get fired from CNN. And Don Lemon still found a way to do that. And now he is saying that there are people on the right and the center that would never watch CNN because CNN is factual and they can't handle the facts. Really said this out loud. This is cut number 14. Go.
I also think, mistakenly, that they're going to gain an audience by trying to move a network into a certain direction. And these days it's to move it to the right because they believe that that audience is going to come to them. Because I was speaking to Kevin O'Leary the other night, and he said, well, CNN they've got to come to the middles to gain more audience. I was like, you're out of your mind. That's never going to happen. Are you crazy? I was like, those folks are never, ever going to watch CNN. And they're never going to watch any network that is a factual news organization. So that's never going to happen.
Yeah, factual news organization. So what Don is saying basically is that, well, he got fired because he wasn't factual. If that is, the standard. I mean, this is the same network that said that those bombs that were thrown in New York City on the Upper East Side near Gracie Mansion were actually targeting Zahra Mamdani when they weren't at all. And then had to apologize for it. Same network that said just last week, we're just going to keep it within last week examples, that troops aren't actually getting steak and lobster before they go off to war in Iran. It's just Pete Hegseth on some sort of crazy spending spree. No, that never happened. Same network, Jake Tapper, who said that we didn't know the motivations or the politics of the guy who literally drove into a Michigan synagogue that was housing children between 1 and 5 years old at the time, said we don't know his motivation or his politics. Yeah, we do. This guy had 2 terrorists who were also his brothers, blood brothers, over in Lebanon, who were killed by an Israeli airstrike because they fought for Hezbollah, the terror group, right? Yeah, but we don't know his motivations or his politics, right? I can go on. Russian collusion, that kid from that high school in Kentucky, who they painted as a racist, who was anything but, and got sued for it. something to the tune of $500 million and, had to settle. Yeah, CNN, factual news network. Here is Don Lemon spewing facts here about how if you're a woman 50 or older, you're no longer effective. You are past your prime. This is what Don Lemon thinks is good journalism. Cut number 15, go.
This whole talk about age makes me uncomfortable. I think it's the wrong road to go down. She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
It depends. I mean, it's just like prime. If you look it up, if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't necessarily.
40s. Oh, I got another.
I'm not saying I agree with that. So I think she has to be careful about saying that politicians aren't in their prime.
You need to qualify. Are you talking about prime for childbearing, or are you talking about prime for being president?
What the facts are. Google it. Everybody at home.
All right.
When is a woman in her prime? It says 20s, 30s, and 40s. And I'm just saying.
So Margaret Thatcher, I guess, wasn't in her prime when she was Prime Minister of England in her 60s. I guess when Don voted for Hillary Clinton, when she was in her 60s, when she ran for president. Kamala Harris, she's in her 60s. I can guarantee you that he voted for her past her prime. But that's what Don thinks is good journalism. Outside of this gem, which is cut number 16. Again, this person thought that he was an anchor on CNN and managed to get fired from that absolute train wreck. Cut 16.
And this is for anyone who may be taken aback by my comments. I want to be very clear here. I don't really care if you are. I hope you are. For years now, it has been 2.5 years since he officially entered the political arena. For years, I and others have been trying to tell you, the American people, that this man was exhibiting bigoted behavior.
Yeah. Okay. So that's Don basically saying to people who criticized him for calling Trump a racist and presented it as a fact on a newscast, his self-described newscast, and then said, I don't care what your opinion is. He's bigoted, damn it. And then he's even gone further to call every single Trump supporter out there. Many of you listening, you're also racists that attend Klan rallies that otherwise are what's known as Trump rallies. Anyway, so that is the Don Lemon lesson of the day. Anyway, it gets better, by the way. Actually, you know what? I'm going to play this because I think Denzel Washington is awesome. A lot of people in Hollywood, not so awesome, or at least self-important, self-absorbed, pathological narcissist. But Denzel, I always found to be down to earth, and by the way, has made some of the best movies of all time. I mean, go see Training Day sometime. I'm sure many of you have not. Believe me, he's the bad guy in that one, but one of the best bad guys you'll ever see. Anyway, here's Denzel explaining to a reporter actually what journalism is supposed to be. He is the anti-lemon, like the Antichrist. The anti-lemon is Denzel Washington. Cut number 20, go.
There's been a lot of buzz about the fake news. You were the subject of a fake news story.
Oh, yeah, what'd they say? I was running for president? No, I voted. No, what'd they say?
You switched your support.
I switched, yeah.
What do you make of all the fake news and it affects you?
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
Boom.
So what do you do?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore.
Yep.
So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first, but to tell the truth. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it. Sell it. Anything you practice, you'll get good at, including BS.
Hold on. Okay.
But you heard me? Does that make sense?
I mean, I analyze media for a living. He did it better in that 1 and 2 second clip than I have over a long career. Crimson Tide also you want to see with Denzel Washington, with the great Gene Hackman, James Gandolfini. What a cast and what a movie. Just incredible. Almost as good as Hunt for Red October. Submarine movie as well. But yeah, and Remember the Titans, obviously. Found to be a little hokey. I hate the ending. Yeah, you're not running a double reverse from your own 15 in scoring in a high school state championship. You're just not. I know, I'm going off in a very, very small area here that only like 4 people know what I'm talking about. So maybe I should go to break. Yeah, I think I will. We'll be back to wrap this puppy up on Concha at Night. Believe me, no more tangents. All right, that is my promise in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right, everybody, we continue with Moron Monday, and of course, we must play something from Reid, right? Another person that managed to get fired from a network that really doesn't fire the most crazy people that it has in terms of hosts, in terms of anybody it employs. But yep, she managed it just like Don Lemon did, who we talked about in the last block. Anyway, here is Ms. Reid from her kitchen doing a podcast no one listens to, talking about how America actually is just like Iran, but we're the Christian version or something. Cut 12, go.
Our regime has secret police. They have secret police. Our regime is oppressing women, taking away abortion rights, taking away women's rights in like 26 states, some states where they're trying to have the death penalty for having an abortion. They also oppress women. They have the highest rate of women who are in STEM careers. We're kicking women out of the military, out of university. We're saying that DEI means women can't be hired for high positions in the sciences. We're marginally better. And we're doing it for Christianity. They're doing it for Islam, right? Yeah. So it's like we don't get told those things because it would take away the kind of American exceptionalism narrative.
I mean, there's got to be like a padded room somewhere for this person, but I like how there's some guy there who's like, yeah, I agree with you, Joy. Yeah, I guess we know why she got fired from that particular. When you get fired from an insane asylum, that's never a good sign for your so-called journalism career. Anyway, let's move on to somebody who's a lot more sane, and that is Ben Shapiro, who has, look, what I like about Ben is, you know, he's criticized Trump in the past. He will criticize him now. All right? Nobody's infallible. You don't have to agree with everybody on everything. But Shapiro, in terms of grading Trump in this Fox News clip, in terms of what he's been doing from a foreign policy perspective or almost everything, I think Shapiro may now be like the president of the President Trump fan club because I think even his high expectations have been exceeded. This is cut number 2. Go.
Totally agree with that. Now, on the complete opposite side of the coin is President Donald Trump. If you had to grade his leadership during this time in our country right now, what would you give him?
I mean, A+ right now. I mean, again, I think what you're watching him do in Iran is not only unprecedented in terms of its political courage. I think that it is and has the potential to be a true game changer for America's role in the world, not only for the next 10 or 20 years, but for the coming century. Because what he is doing is he's reasserting American authority in the world. He is saying that we are not a country that is receding inside our own borders. We're not a country that looks back at a beautiful past but looks forward to kind of a sad future of decline. He's reinvigorating a vision of America strong on the world stage, and he understands on an innate gut level. The president's foreign policy has always been rooted in that peace through strength principle, in the idea that the best way to achieve peace is for people to understand that inside the velvet glove is an iron fist. You actually have to throw your enemies off their game. You actually have to make the hard decisions that make your opponents understand that they cannot cross us. And I think the president, you know, it's a real estate negotiation to him. And guess what? The rules of New York real estate actually apply incredibly well to the politics of the Middle East, for example.
You've been so generous.
That's actually very true. And that was with Fox's Martha McCallum, one of the best. Anyway, on the opposite side of the coin is Chris Van Hollen. He is unfortunately, senator from the state of Maryland, where I once resided. And here, he's now threatening to defund the military in the middle of a war. Oh, yeah. Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if that works out for you. Cut number 21, go.
But you're right. At the end of the day, the best tool we have is to say no more dollars for this war that's making us less safe. And so I've been very clear. I will not support money for this Trump war.
No, seriously, get that guy some Nugenics or Viagra or something. I mean, dude, What, did you have your balls cut off? I mean, what? This war's making us less safe? I'm pretty sure it's going to make us a lot more safe, and it will be over soon. All right, finally, one more cut from feckless Democrats, including Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the worst hair in American and possibly the world's history, saying that the SAVE Act's actually going to make it harder for people to vote Democrat. Like, I don't know, illegals? Is that what you're saying, Debbie? You're kind of saying that. Cut number 22, go.
Senator John Thune says he will bring the SAVE Act to a vote in the Senate. Republicans say that this is just about voters having to show ID and proof of citizenship in order to vote. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Debbie. This is about one thing, ensuring that it is much harder for people who are unlikely to go to the polls and vote for Republicans, and that making it much harder for them to cast their ballot. Putting obstacles in the path of people who simply want to exercise their right to vote, which is the most precious right we have, is absolutely abhorrent.
People that normally vote Democrat won't be able to do that under the SAVE Act because they're actually going to have to show ID and proof of citizenship. Again, the quiet part out loud. We know exactly what Debbie Bad Hair Wasserman Schultz is saying, no question about it. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. We're back tomorrow at 9 p.m. here on Concha at Night. Until then, I got 2 words for you. Bye-bye. Boom, 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 boom.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation honors the sacrifices of America's heroes. Heroes like U.S. Army Specialist Andy Keith Kingsley. Andy was part of the 82nd Airborne Division. He received various awards and decorations, including a Purple Heart. While deployed, Andy was catastrophically injured in combat. Andy and his family received a mortgage-free smart home from Tunnel to Towers. But many more heroes, like Andy, need your support. Donate $11 a month and amplify your impact by donating your car or land. Go to T2T.org.